Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Bosnian and welcome back to another one of my videos, and today we're going to be talking about what happened to the map of the dead airplane that was flying around all of the zombie maps. We've gotten a Cipher in Gorod Krovi that talks about it, but bear with me, it's kind of still in the works at the moment, so I'll try my best to kind of interpret what it's trying to say. So it starts off saying it was a strange plane with landing hard, so I'm assuming that he's trying to say that it was a strange plane and that it was landing hard. And then it goes on to say, in a way we passed through time and space, flying over the areas that should not be there. Either he's saying that they, whoever we is, was passing through time and space with the plane, or he was witnessing it pass through time and space. And then he goes on to say flying over the areas that should not be there. Now, I'm really not sure what he's trying to say there, but he might be trying to say that the plane isn't supposed to be there because obviously it's teleporting and shit. Then he goes on to say, there was no sign that the remains. He might be talking about the plane and how it landed hard and how there was no sign of the remains of the plane. So yeah, that's probably what he's saying. And then he goes on to say, I do not know where it landed, honest. So maybe it landed hard somewhere and he couldn't find it, or maybe the plane didn't even land anywhere. Maybe it just teleported into another dimension or whatever. So that was my attempt at trying to interpret that cipher there, but obviously it's still in the works. But I think that we can basically get the gist of what he's trying to say there. So obviously this plane has something to do with the storyline in Black Ops 3. Otherwise they wouldn't have just thrown it in there because they felt like it. I mean, it's definitely flying around for a reason, but that reason is still yet to be uncovered. And obviously they're throwing in things like ciphers for it to, you know, emphasize the fact that this plane is flying around the maps. So I'm not sure why the plane isn't in Der Eisendrache or Gorod Krovi specifically, but I do know that it's definitely following us. A lot of you might say, no, it's not following us because the plane landed in the giant on top of the building behind power, because sequentially the maps go Shadows of Evil first and then the giant second. You'd think that the plane just went through Morgue City and landed in the Giant, but then you gotta ask yourself, why is it in Zetsubo no Shima? Zetsubo comes after the Giant. So did the plane take off yet again and decide to follow us to Zetsubo? Again, I don't know why the plane isn't following us to Der Eisendrache and Gorod Krovi, but maybe you can cancel out Gorod Krovi because it's technically in a different state, considering it's in a purgatory mode, kind of based off of the red eyes that we see on the zombies, but that still leaves Der Eisendrache as the big question mark. I'm just so intrigued by this plane, and I think it's there for a reason. I mean, it just has to be. Again, they can't just throw in random Easter eggs like this and not have some sort of an explanation on why it's there and what it's doing. So is the Weasel still alive? I mean, I'd like to think that he is, considering that if you beat the Easter egg in Mob of the Dead the correct way, Weasel actually breaks the cycle and leaves the bridge. So who really knows where he could be at this point? Maybe he died somewhere at some point, or maybe he survived and maybe he's traveling interdimensionally through all of these different locations. I have no idea how or why he'd be doing that, but it's clearly happening, and you would think that someone is piloting the plane, considering a plane doesn't fly itself. Again, looking at the cipher and what it says, it seems that the person writing it could be the Weasel himself, considering all the other ciphers kind of have an easy answer as to who wrote it, but this is just completely obscure, and again, it's not completely coherent at the moment, but I think we're getting into the gist of what the person is trying to say. So the plane was flying through different dimensions and it landed somewhere unknown. Now there could be three ways to interpret this. If the Weasel did write it, then maybe the plane landed itself somewhere he isn't aware of. I don't know how it could fly itself, or how he lost the plane, and how he's aware of its interdimensional travel. All I know is that this could be one of the things that happened. The second interpretation could be that he still is on the plane, but he doesn't know where the plane landed with him still on it. So maybe he landed somewhere, but he doesn't know where he is. Also, we have to take into account that it says we and that he could be with someone else. That could just easily be a typo, and simply changing the word we into it changes the entire sentence. The third interpretation could be that somebody in Gorod Krovi saw the plane, teleport into the sky and watched it land hard somewhere in the area, and eventually the person that wrote it looked around, but it wasn't there. So I have no clue what the plane is doing. I mean, maybe it's crashed somewhere in Gorod Krovi, considering the person in the cipher said it was coming in hard and later on he couldn't find it. But the fact that he couldn't find it almost indicates to me that it teleported right before crashing. So I'm assuming that the plane ended up somewhere else, as in some other location besides Gorod Krovi. But the question is where? I want to believe that it crashed in DLC 4 somehow, but there's literally no way of knowing that. And again, a lot of you were gonna say it landed in the giant, but that again doesn't make sense considering the characters see the plane in the giant before Zetsubo no Shima. So what does this mean for the future? Where is the plane and what is it doing at the moment? I'm hoping that it somehow made its way into the map Revelations and the weasel is in the map as some sort of an Easter egg, or maybe he's even part of the main Easter egg quest. That would be absolutely insane, but again, I'm just being kind of hopeful, and there's really no solid proof as to what this plane is doing at the moment or where it's going. So I'm just kind of being hopeful again. I really want to see it in Revelations, but let me know down in the comment section below what you think about this. Let me know where you think the plane is headed, what it's doing, and do you think it could possibly show up in DLC 4? But that's gonna be it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Please leave a rating, please subscribe, and have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.